Well, that's more like it. A better performance this time from the good guys, the Tampa Bay Rays, as they down the Texas Rangers by a score of 5-2 in last night's game.
Enjoyable game for a Tuesday night game, but was there revenge involved? Let's talk about it right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays, and email us anytime, mailbag questions and beyond, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Well, the Tampa Bay Rays are back up to 500, 3-3 on the year with a good showing in last night's game. Got to tell you, Brandon Lau might be Nostradamus, if not anything else. He predicted this type of outing, type of performance, type of showing from Zach Eflin, where it was a case of, bad start, bad going on opening day. Watch out whoever he gets to face next, because it's going to be rough going. It's going to be trouble, because history suggests that after a loss or after a slumbering showing, Zach Eflin usually recovers 5 days later, and that was the case yesterday.
It really was. So Brandon gets a lot of props for saying that after opening day, and guess what? He had a first row seating for what Eflin did, because he didn't get into the game. So he was able to relax, just watch the game from the best seat in the house. And I hope he did, because really Eflin was remarkable. He was the Eflin from the first 4 or 5 innings of opening day throughout. He looked in control. It's really kind of, I don't want to, put it out there, but it's amazing how this guy could have just something clicked a la Charlie Morton when he went to Houston and just became a really good pitcher. Zach Eflin could be the next Charlie Morton, where, he was an okay guy, a reliable pitcher, but then he just finds something and just becomes someone else on the mound. It just really does seem like Zach has found something in Tampa Bay, and we're all for it. It really is. The fact that when he gets on the mound after a loss, like BA said yesterday, and just shows up, he's just the prototypical stopper. That you just think about the rotation in 2025, which he will be still being under contract, but at a heftier tag price of $18
million, give or take, something.
So it's 18 mil, but you talk, if this is Zach Eflin, then you add Shane McClanahan, and you add Jeffrey Springs, and you add Shane Boz, and you add perhaps a Drew Rasmussen, you add a Tosh Bradley, you add a Ryan Pepio. I know we can't be focused on just 5 names, but
right,
what was that, 7, 8 names? So it's
really good.
You have a really good rotation for 2025.
Yes. No, Eflin was certainly dominant. As BA pointed out on the broadcast, he would use the cutter versus lefties to set up that curveball and get some really bad swings and misses. Guys just swinging over the top of it and chasing after it, and that allowed some really good strikeouts there, and getting them to swing out in front. So hopefully that continues. Maybe his pitching performance will wear off on Pete Fairbanks. I foresee a Pete Fairbanks rant coming from Ulises. Very rarely a clean inning. I guess we won't have to get into that too much. It's more about the spotlight of what Zach Eflin was able to do there. So
we can get it out. I see it on the right overlay. Close it out, man. Close it out. Come on. Get it. He got it done, but I mean, when there's
He didn't make it easy.
When there's men on first and second with 2 out, and the score is 5-2, and there's a deep fly ball to the 162 landing, yeah, your everything goes up to your throat, and it wasn't a good feeling. But he got it out. He got the outs, but yeah, it was definitely not an easy 1, 2, 3 there for Pete.
Certainly not. We have more to discuss, but first we have to tell the audience something very important, and that is this. As you know, spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. So don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your prize pick entries, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. Take your pick of more or less and add them to your prize picks entry today. Prize picks, really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit entries in less than 60 seconds. Everybody's got 60 seconds. They can take advantage of that for sure. So go ahead and download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. I'll repeat it again. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, for a first deposit match up to $100. All right. So Zach Eflin kept the Rays in the game, helped them to win the game, of course. But an interesting scenario unfolded, and that's when the scoring unfolded for the Rays, when in the bottom of the third, our boy Jose Caballero was hit by a pitch on an 0-2 count from Andrew Heaney, and that gets us and others wondering, was it intentional based on what happened on Monday evening's game where Josh Young was hit, and wasn't there another batter hit by the Rangers as well?
Adolis Garcia, yeah.
Yeah, Garcia and Young. So the question is, was it intentional, or was it a fastball cut too much inside?
I feel like as a society in 2024, there are way too many conspiracy theories. Of like, ooh, you know, which like some can be fun. You know, we have them in the show too.
Yeah.
I mean, that was as baseball revenge as it gets. I mean, honestly, look, I don't fault the Rangers at all. Like, of course, I don't want Caballero to ever get hit or any Rays player to get hit. But come on, like, they just lost their third baseman for a couple months at least.
Right.
The biggest guy, by the way, Adolis Garcia, the biggest guy, got hit too.
There are some, speaking of conspiracy theories, there's some rumblings and grumblings out there on social media of, look how his body and shoulders and arms and chest and head and neck has transformed from basically an off season or since his rookie year over the last couple of years, essentially.
Yeah, which, you know, again, conspiracy theory. Yeah, I think they're mostly angles, but the guy does.
He is noticeably jacked and bigger in comparison to previous iterations of himself, I guess.
That's true. I did see a picture of Adolis with like basically no neck, and I was like, ooh, that is not good.
Yeah,
that is not good.
I don't think they can find a hat or a helmet to fit him. That it definitely has to be custom made for sure.
Yeah, it's tailormadehelmets.com. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory. I think it was as baseball revenge as possible. Like, oh, you hit two of my guys, I'm going to hit one of you. And I'm going to hit him right exactly where you hit mine. And you can say, oh, the precision, how can they? It's Andrew Heaney. It's not like it's a rookie off the street, too. You know, he's a professional. I think he can do that.
So my question is, why wait to an 0-2 count when you could pretty much retire Caballero there? Why not just start it after the first pitch or after the second pitch? I mean, you basically have him eliminated at that point. I mean, have you seen guys, no matter if it's Yandy Díaz or Jose Caballero, an 0-2 count usually doesn't bode well for the hitter.
And it happened yesterday with Josh Young. Didn't he get hit, but he also made a swing? Yeah. So maybe, you're like, oh, maybe let's try to do that. I don't know. You're right. It was 0-2. The base was open, and no outs, correct?
Yes, that's my understanding. So
okay. Yeah, I mean, I mean, look,
Hey,
I don't disagree with anybody saying that it wasn't on purpose, but I just think that it is. Like,
right.
come on.
I'll tell you what though. Good on Caballero and Yandy Díaz and Harold Ramirez for turning that instance into a run, because
Yeah.
Caballero, what does he do after he gets on base? Steals second. Then Yandy Díaz gets a base hit deflected off the glove of Andrew Heaney, and then Harold Ramirez coming in dropping a ball in no man's land. I mean, that's like the majority of the hits for the Rays last night were going the other way, going oppo. Particularly against Andrew Heaney. Of course, we know Isaac Paredes isn't going to go oppo. He's going to pull one down the foul line off the reliever that was brought in to replace Andrew Heaney. But you love to see it that when a transgression has been made, deserved or not deserved, your team is able to capitalize on it and do something with it and not leave Caballero stranded on first or second. And here's something to watch out for. This might have to be a prop bet that we throw out there. Is Caballero, will he lead the team in hit by pitches? Because last year he had 17 in 104 games. I know Randy gets his fair share, as does Isaac, but I'm going to go on record and say, yes, he will lead the team in hit by pitches. And I don't know the design or the mechanics of how Caballero is able to yield that many hit by pitches. My only thought is that because he does have a history and he does get into the mindset of opposing pitchers just based on what he does at the plate, that word spread, rumor spread. Say, if you're going to go after one guy, if you have to hit one guy, make sure it's Caballero. And maybe that's where it comes about. He's the Patrick Beverly of baseball. You know,
if fandoms have that guy, in the clubhouse they talk about that guy too.
yeah.
Like, oh, this guy's a pest. And there are guys that when you have them, when you're facing them, you dislike them incredibly. And then when they're on your team, you're like, oh no, this dude is the best. I think it happened to us with Carlos Gomez. I mean,
Right.
from afar, I enjoyed his talent, but I thought he was too much. I was like, dude, this guy's just like too, But
Jose
I
Spirit
understood.
gives off a little bit of those vibes. You could argue Randy to some extent, although Randy has more of the star-driven pedigree.
Yeah,
Compared to
yeah. I don't
Siri and
think
Caballero.
I don't think he's got that like heel in him.
Yeah.
Siri does, and Caballero definitely does. Which again, you like that when they're on your team. But there's one, every sport has its own idiosyncrasies, and I think there's one instance in baseball that I always love, which is my guy gets hit, he's gonna steal second. I love that. Like, that's one of the coolest things of like, okay, you hit me on purpose, I'm going to take second. So deal with that. It's like an understood language of baseball. It's like a rite of passage. It's Passover, it's Christmas meal, it's Thanksgiving.
Right.
Like, it's just something that we all understand. And I love that about baseball. The stealing of a bag after getting hit, and it yielded a run. And again, Yandy going oppo, Harold with his Harold type blooper oppo, Randy going oppo and getting an RBI, Mead getting 2 hits in the game.
Mead is looking better and better every day, even defensively as well, with some of his sliding grabs, like what we saw last night, glove side. That was really smooth and athletic, and that's been the bugaboo on him is, he's kind of unorthodox. Does he really have a position? Second base may be it. So just food for thought there.
We put it out on our competition series, which I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you haven't watched it, it's there in the YouTubes. So go ahead and check it out.
He might be the second baseman of the future as Brandon Lau gets more expensive and doesn't stay healthy. Taylor Walls, he's not really an everyday player per se. And that remains to be seen, what kind of role will be carved out for him when he comes back onto the roster, I guess a month or something like that from now. But hey, all you can do if you're Caballero or Mead or Rosario or one of the other young players, not Rosario necessarily, but just, hey, show up and play and do some impressive things that makes it a difficult decision and call for the organization. So,
well, we said that he would be a fantastic platoon option there for Brandon Lau, righty, lefty, second base. But you're right. Like if Brandon Lau is way too expensive and they don't pick up his option, I can definitely see me taking second as his home. And going to the Taylor Walls subject, this is locked on Taylor Walls for the next minute and a half.
oh God. All right,
So
go ahead.
by the way, I just put it on my browser. I just put TAY, and already the thing was like Taylor Walls Fangraphs. I was like, yeah, all right. I've been on this.
Yeah, you've been there. You're trying to get. Why is he still on the team?
Yeah. Well, Fangraphs just tells me that he's got two options. So why do we necessarily think that if this team is defensively sound, that Taylor Walls is not going to provide a lot of offense either. If this team is doing well, like, is it really far-fetched to say that Taylor Walls is just stuck in AAA unless something happens? If this team is doing well, like, does he just, if he's just healthy, they just have to promote him? I mean, I think that's a question that should be posed. Is he just a straight through major league player that, he gets healthy, he goes straight through to the team? Or if the team is doing well defensively, there's really not a need for Taylor Walls. Does he get just an extended stay in AAA?
No, I think you're on the mark there. He's not the first player that plays 3-4 seasons in the big leagues and then something happens and you give him a chance and opportunity. That we know about the glove, but the bat doesn't play as of yet, and he becomes a quasi quad A player until there's maybe a team that really has a true need for him at the big league club. So it's something that has to be figured out and considered, but I'm ecstatic just to watch more of Curtis Mead and some of these other guys while Walls is hopefully recovering from his issue.
And if you're ecstatic about watching Curtis Mead live, got to use Game Time, people.
Yeah.
You got to use Game Time because it is the best app for where you can buy some tickets for, hey, let's say theater. Yes, they got it. Baseball. Yes, they got it. Soccer. Boom. They got it. Comedy. Boom. They've got it. And they also have flash deals, which you can save exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. And they also have zone deals, which you can save even more when you choose a section and then you let Game Time choose your seats. You can also do what I do, which is look at the seat view before you buy. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app, and you know what to expect when you get there. So today, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. For a limited time, all users can get $20 off any MLB purchase. Terms apply. That's code locked on for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Okay, put it on the board. Jose Caballero, yes or no, leads team in hit by pitches this year?
I think I have to be contrarian on this. I agree with you, but I think I have to be a contrarian on this and say no.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't dislike it at all either.
All right.
I could very well see that.
So last year, Isaac Paredes led the team with 20. Randy had 18, and then Luke Raley, of course, no longer on the team, had 18. And then after that, it was Yandy with 8, and the smattering of dudes with 6, 4, 3, and so forth. So
I don't feel that bad.
Basically, rotate it between it's either going to be Paredes, it's either going to be Randy, or it's either going to be Caballero. One of those three. And I think already Caballero getting into it with Genesis Cabrera, and now this. This isn't the last of interesting moments for Caballero and pitchers. I'll just say that. Speaking of interesting moments, bottom of the 5th inning, this is where things really started to unravel for the Rangers. A dropped fly ball by Jared Walsh, sort of in no man's land, but down the right field line. Yandy on a full count going the other way, and I think Walsh, as is typical for guys who aren't that comfortable or used to the Tropicana field confines, has trouble tracking a ball like that. Plus, you hear the footsteps of big, burly Adolis Garcia There's a lot of components there, and I think he had just didn't track it well, and then hearing footsteps and dropped the ball, and then from there it was taking advantage of that. Harold Ramirez gets a line drive oppo on a full count. Randy Arozarena gets a base hit with a full count, and then Isaac Paredes gets a first pitch slider off the reliever that was brought in, and that opened the board and the run there.
You got to capitalize on those mistakes, and I know it's not going to happen 100% of the time, but when you're given the opportunity to do so, good teams do that, and the Rays showed that, hey, we can do that. The Isaac Paredes pulling home run thing, it's like it started as like an oddity, then it became comical, and now it's just like this is it.
That's
like,
a legitimate thing. That's all he's going to do. Every one of his homers is going to be pull side, and that's as pull side as you can get without going into foul territory.
He hit
and it's hard to see pitches go off the foul pole. That adds a little bit of more of excitement and panache to it.
I think it's kind of like I was saying earlier, with the stealing the bag after getting hit. A home run that hits the foul pole just hits different.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, got him right there. Like that was nice to see. 3-run shot too. Like I gotta see what's the percentage breakout in home runs for the Rays, because and then league wide.
Right.
Like out of all the home runs that are hit in MLB, what is the percentage of solo home runs, the 2-run home runs, 3-run home runs, and then grand slams? And then I want to see that for the Rays, because from this point of view, this perspective of a fan, it does seem like the Rays have so many solo shots, but maybe that's also in MLB, the average is the same. So it's really nice when you get a 3-run shot. Like you're like, oh, it just feels a little bit different. You give your team a little bit of a breather. And with Zach in this case, but it could just be any starter, you give them a little bit of a breather. They're like, okay, you don't have to be so perfect. It's not 1-0 anymore. Like you can just attack the zone and then let your fielders do their work. And that's exactly what happened.
And that's what it looked like it was maybe setting up to become, was the case of, we might have to squeeze out a 1-0 or 2-1 or 3-2 game. And luckily Paredes was there to save the day. Yeah, it's so crazy about, as we're talking about Taylor Walls, Jared Walsh, another example of a guy that, plays a couple years in the bigs. He was an all-star, and now he has to sign a non-roster invite with the Rangers to give another shot again. Like I thought he was going to be, not necessarily a perennial all-star, but play a decade plus in the league. And I remember we were talking about it years ago of the Angels of, oh my gosh, look at the bats they have between Walsh and Ohtani and Trout and Rendon, and even like Max Stassi was having a good year at catcher in 2021. And man, how the wheels have come off there. But it just goes to show you that success may not last. Things can happen. Injury here, a slump here, struggle there, and you got to kind of fight and claw your way to get back into things. But yeah, that was not a good look for Jared Walsh there. And it happens. It happens with guys that aren't familiar with the territory. I mean, even Ahmed Rosario is still getting used to playing the outfield. He's doing a good job of it. I think his extension and wingspan really makes up a lot of room and ground. I mean, making a catch in the gap like that, is good. I know one of the things that he's told reporters is, I'm used to being an infielder. I can't look down. When I track the ball up in the air in the dome, I can't lose sight of it. So
no, 100%. And he's doing great. I really like what Rosario has done so far. And that catch was really nice to see. Siri gave him a hug, appreciating his efforts.
Yeah.
It was a nice moment, but you're right. It's a very fickle game. I think even more so for relievers, right? You have a career year, you're an all-star, and then 2 years later, nobody remembers you and you're out of baseball. Like it's a very unforgiving game. But going back to the Trop advantage, that's why you have to have home field advantage. And the Trop is that. Like you say whatever you want, you got to utilize it. And I think the Rays utilized it yesterday. The Trop gave them a favor. They said, thank you, Trop. We'll take it from here. And they did. I hope, And I know, we don't know really anything about the new stadium. I hope that the new stadium has something like this, something where
Yeah.
the opposite team that comes in doesn't feel comfortable playing in it. Whatever that thing might be, I don't care. But
Yeah.
I have really appreciated the fact that every time a team comes to play the Rays, there will come a time in that 3 to 4 game series where one or two things
Right.
are going to happen because of the Trop. Like, it wouldn't have happened anywhere else except for the
Yeah.
Trop. Like, I need that to happen in the new stadium.
I agree. There's got to be something where you can cue the circus music against the opposing team. I know AL East teams have a little bit more comfortability there, but
Yeah.
even then we see some wacky things that go on. So I am with you 100%. And I'm sure that's something that the Rays are thinking about and considering is what type of home field advantage can we build? Maybe it is with the color or the scheme of the rooftop or the dome or something with the warning track or the turf or put something quirky in that only a team that plays their 81 games every year would be able to materialize and build up to their advantage. Before we end the program, one question. I know Josh Lowe's injured. And yep, Stu, he has not texted me yet. So hopefully he gives me a text before the show.
Good. I hope
you
so.
look it up on our YouTube channel that you should subscribe to what we have going on. Would you have put Josh Lowe in this lineup? This was an all-righty lineup against Andrew Heaney. You had Yandy Díaz, Harold Ramírez, Randy, Paredes, Rosario, Mead, Siri, Caballero, Pinto. It is something that we had talked about is Lowe needs to get more opportunities versus lefties. Would this have been a case, if healthy, that you would have posted him in the lineup? And if so, who would you remove from the lineup to give him that starting action?
I think the easy answer would be Ahmed Rosario because
Okay.
he played right field. But it depends on what the front office feels about Josh Lowe. Is he their next hopefully face of franchise kind of player? Is he going to be a guy that you want him to be playing 130, 140 games? Because if he is, then yeah, you would have to put him in the lineup. And I would. If he was healthy, I would, because I want to give him that trust that, hey, dude, no matter if it's a righty or a lefty, you're playing the game. And I know we do. A lot of lefties have a lot of trouble facing southpaws. Like, Brendan Lau, for example, he doesn't play against lefties, and I think that's a good tactic right there, because
it works out just to give him a day off his feet.
And you have Curtis Mead.
So you can't bring him in later in the game as a defensive replacement or pinch hitter, whatever it may be.
And you have Curtis Mead. So the option that you're putting on, do you like that option? Now, it's not. I'm not saying that I don't like Rosario, because I do, but I much prefer still Josh Lowe in that situation. But then again, it's if Josh was healthy, who's sitting in AAA? So yeah. I understand the question. I guess I would go with Rosario, but your face tells me that you maybe would go somewhere else.
No, I'm with you there. The only thing I was thinking is, depending on how guys are doing, you could put Rosario at second and start Josh Lowe, but then again, you're taking away opportunities from Curtis Mead, and that's the chance to really allow Curtis Mead to shine and thrive is facing a lefty. I think there's a lot of, besides just, I think generally you could plug and play Josh Lowe, but I'm sure there's other factors that the Rays are considering of how does the ball come out of the lefty's hand? What's the velocity? What's the movement? Is he a guy who has command and control, or is he a flamethrower? It's all about, what kind of fits the skill set and what they think that Josh Lowe can get around on.
Yeah. So just like an easy example would be like if you have a guy that has an uppercut swing, like think Reed Brignac, and then you have a guy that's a lefty that just throws in the top of the zone. Yeah. He ain't hitting that ever. So then you also, just those little things have to be matched up so that you're like, okay, this would be a good matchup for them. But they have that information a lot that we don't have, and that we don't have the visibility to. But just as as a, hey, you're my guy at right field and you're playing 130, 140 games, then yeah, I think you should be able to let him see a few lefties as well.
And we're in agreement that if he was starting this game, that we'd maybe move him down a little bit in the order to 6th, 7th, maybe take Siri's spot and move Siri down or something like that. I don't know if I want to take opportunities away against Yandy or Harold for sure. I mean, Harold against lefties, you basically have Ted Williams on your hands.
I know that they're not doing this, and I don't know why. But yeah, Rosario was hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rosario was hitting 5th, so I would put Mead batting 5th, Lowe hitting 6th.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what they're really putting Pinto in the 9th hole. Like
that's what they're doing for now.
They're
anyway.
not really setting up the speed demon in the 9th hole to kind of flip it around the lineup. I don't know why. They used to. It would be an interesting thing to follow along the season.
Yeah, that'd be really cute. If Caballero keeps getting hit by pitches, put him in the 9th order, 9th spot, have him steal 2nd or stay at 1st, whatever it is. You got Yandy coming up to bat, and good things usually happen after that as well. So, all right, good win for the Rays. It was needed. Hopefully all the people that are freaking out can settle down a little bit. We have a 110 game today. Could be a pitcher's duel, remains to be seen. Should be an interesting matchup regardless, where you have Aaron Savali, who shoved in his first outing, going up against Nate Eovaldi, who you can more or less pencil in for, he's going to give you a 3.6, 3.8 ERA and rack up a bunch of strikeouts. And he's got the splitter working so far this year. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully the Rays are able to get above 500 in this afternoon game. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.